Hey everyone, welcome back to the SQL for Beginners series. If you watched the first lesson, congratulations, you have already written your first SQL queries using select, selector, and distinct. Now, here is something interesting. In our previous lesson, every query returned everything we asked for. For example, if we wrote select all from movies, SQL showed us the entire table, every movie, every genre, every rating, every year. But what if I don't want every movie? What if I only want action movies or movies released after 2010 or movies with a rating greater than 8.5? Do I need a completely different SQL commands for every question? Actually, no. We use one simple clause, the work clause. Today, we are going to learn how to tell SQL, don't show me everything, show me exactly what I am looking for. So, let's get started. We'll continue using the same movies table from our previous lesson. Since you are already familiar with this table, we can focus completely on learning a new SQL concept. In the previous class, we asked SQL, show me all the movies. Today, let us ask a more specific question. Show me only the action movies. Can we do that using only select? Let's think about it. Please write down select genre from movies. This gives us all the genre, not what we want. So, how about we write select all from movies? Still not right. We are getting every movie. We need a way to tell SQL only return the rows where the genre is action. That's exactly what WHERE does. The where clause filter rows. Think of select as choosing which columns you want. Where chooses which rows you want. That's an important difference. Select decide what information to display. Where decides which record should appear. Once you understand that idea, half of SQL becomes much easier. So, let's write it. Select all from movies where genre equal to action. Let's read it like English. Select everything from the movie table where the genre equals action. That's literally what we are asking SQL. Now, let's imagine we are SQL. We start at the first row. Interstellar. Genre is sci-fi. Does it equal action? No. So let's skip it. So let's move to next row. Inception. Sci-fi. Still not action. Skip. Frozen. Animation. Skip. The Dark Knight. Action. Yes, we need to keep this row. Interstellar again. Sci-fi. Skip it. Finally, SQL returns only one movie, The Dark Knight. Notice what happened. SQL didn't remove the other rows, it simply ignored them while building the result. Here is the really cool part. The query barely changes. Suppose I now ask, show me movies released after 2010. The SQL becomes select all from movies where year greater than 2010. Everything is the same. The only thing that changed is the condition. Instead of checking genre, SQL checks year. That's how flexible the workload is. Now, let's find movies with rating greater than 8.5. So for that we need to write select all from movies where rating is greater than 8.5. Again, SQL checks every row. If the condition is true, the row is returned. If the condition is false, the row is skipped. Every work query works exactly like this. You may have noticed something. We used equal for genre and greater than for year and rating. These are called comparison operators. Here are the ones you'll use most often: equal to, greater than, lesser than, greater than or equal to, lesser than or equal to, not equal to. Don't worry about memorizing them today. After writing a few queries, they'll become second nature. Now, let's solve a few questions together. Question number 1. Display movies released in 2014. Pause the video if you'd like to try it yourself. Here is the answer. Select all from movies were year is equal to 2014. Now, the question number 2. Display movies with the rating below 8. Pause again. The answer is select all from movies where rating is lesser than 8. Now let's move on to question number 3. Display only animation movies. Try it yourself. So here is the answer. Select all from movies where genre is equal to animation. Perfect. You have already writing SQL queries on your own. So before we finish, let's clear up one misunderstanding. Many beginners think Word changes the database. It actually doesn't. The movies table still contains every record. Word only changes what SQL shows you. Think of it like searching for sci-fi on Netflix. Netflix doesn't delete the other movies. It simply shows you the ones that match your search. That is exactly what Word does. So let's move on to today's recap. Today we learned that select chooses columns, where chooses rows. Comparison operators help us define conditions. Where filters result. It never deletes data. So now it is your turn. Write SQL queries for this question, okay? Keep it as your homework, okay? The first question is display only sci-fi movies. Second question, display movies released before 2012. Third question, display movies with ratings greater than 8. Fourth question, displays movies that were released in 2010. Try writing them yourself before checking the answer. The more you practice, the more natural SQL becomes. So that's all for today's lesson. You have just learned one of the most important clauses in SQL. Almost every SQL query you will write as a data analyst will use a where clause in some form. So in our next lesson, we'll switch gears. Instead of querying an existing table, we'll create our own database from scratch. You'll learn how to create a database, create a table, insert records, update data, and delete records. So, if you're enjoying this series, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, keep practicing, keep experimenting, and happy learning.